Kia ora koutou katoa, and welcome along to another episode of Beyond the Hustle. Very grateful today to have my beautiful wife, Jess, joining me. And today we had a conversation about protection. Protection, mainly talking about some of the things that we do to protect our tamariki and our whānau. And that was a really interesting conversation, talking about how we protect them against social media and some of our thinking around that. We also talked about our natural instincts as parents, as just human beings, to always want to jump in and protect our tamariki. And we also talked about how we have structured our relationship, our marriage, our roles in the business, at home, in a way that protects our tamariki from all the chaos of trying to run and trying to grow a business. So if any of that stuff is interesting to you, then join us for this episode of Beyond the Hustle. Oh, kia ora, babe.
Kia ora.
Thanks very much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been a while since we've sat down. And
First time in the new...
Is this your first time in here?
Yeah. Not first time in here, obviously.
No, I mean like first time recording an episode in the new space.
Not at home.
Kapai. Oh, well, welcome. Apologies in advance if you hear an awful echoing sound.
Yeah.
It's the lawn mowing man outside who's just decided that this is the hour of the week that he's going to record that he's going to cut the lawns while we record a podcast. But that's all right. I think
time is of the essence because the children are here.
Yeah.
So you just got to do what you got to do.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
I'm busy.
Busy?
Busy.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Busy in the sense that the children have had a lot happening and I've just had a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Get my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
All the time.
What's been going on?
And what we have had kōrero getting her glasses. We'll talk about that soon. Adia's had a show.
Mm-hmm.
Mana's had
pre-season
touch finals, pre-season trainings, trying to get him registered for a team. Just all that kind of like mental brain power stuff. Yeah, just getting Adia to the right place at the right time.
That's a lot to manage, eh?
Yeah, it's just brain power, hey?
Yeah, I feel like I've been really busy as well.
Yeah.
At mahi.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about how we kind of managed to keep those two things separate later on, because one is really chaotic. Like work at the moment feels really chaotic. There's lots on.
There seems to have been lots of like last minute things that it's like.
And we're just pushing really hard. We're pushing really, really hard. And when you push, you're putting a lot of pressure on the system. And how do you kind of protect home life? How do you protect our tamariki from the high pressure situation that a lot of it's self-inflicted because we are pushing really hard at mahi, but how do you kind of put a protective layer in between mahi, chaos, pushing, pressure, and trying to look after our tamariki?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe protection is going to be the overall theme of today's podcast.
Definitely.
So Kōrero got glasses this week.
Kōrero got her glasses this week.
How have you found that?
Pretty cute. Pleasantly surprising in how she has managed to adapt. Yeah. We have a very stubborn third child, and I was prepping myself mentally for lots of like sticker charts, encouragement, positive reinforcement, and it hasn't kind of had to happen. It was like put the glasses on and she has just worn them. So
struggles with headphones and glasses?
Yes, that is one problem we have to deal with because the kids get their like 30 minutes of free time on their iPad and the old headphones are not very comfy.
Or the over-the-ear ones. You might have to get her used to wearing earbuds or something.
Right. That's right. So that's one little tiny thing to overcome. But she has pleasantly surprised me in that so far, touch wood, she's just put them on and forgets that she's wearing them and gets about her day. So happy days.
I've really struggled with it, to be honest.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, just
go back to the beginning.
Of when we found out she was going to get glasses. Well, I wasn't even ready for it. Like, I wasn't even prepared for it. I didn't know it was even an option.
Yeah.
Like, she got her eye test done. And they were like,
just standard before school. Yeah. They come and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, her eyes are a bit dodgy. Maybe need to go and see an optometrist. But it didn't really, I honestly never thought much more. I was like, oh, yeah, she's going to go and get some further testing. No worries. She's fine. And I think it's because she's never said anything.
She's never showed any signs of having any issues with her sight.
And she's never, like, walked into a wall or, like she goes along to Mana's league games and Adia's netball games and she watches them. So it never occurred to me that she might have a problem with her eyes.
Yeah.
And so I remember you saying, oh yeah, I'm just going to take Kōrero to go and see the optometrist today. I'll send you an update. And I was like, yeah, all good, sweet. didn't really think much of it. And then you called me and said she's got really bad eyesight. We've just gone and done all this testing and she's going to need some pretty serious glasses. And I just wasn't, like I said, mentally prepared to hear that. And so
glasses probably for the rest of her life was the conversation.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. And it was just shocking. And like, to put it all in perspective, she doesn't have cancer. She's got all of her limbs. She's not dying.
She's healthy. Yeah.
She's healthy. And so I'm not trying to, use hyperbole here. But I just wasn't, when I say shocking, I just wasn't ready for it. That's all.
Yeah.
And then I think my first gut reaction, once I'd processed that, I came home and I remember saying to you, like, I think we need a second opinion. This doctor doesn't know what he's on about, or she. And you were like, don't be stupid. I was in there.
I sat there watching her.
Oh, yeah, I sat there. And she couldn't see. She couldn't see anything on the screen. Like, I was there. She's blind.
Yeah. I was blown away by what she couldn't see. Because I was like, same as you, I was like, she's never had any issues with her sight. She can she can recognize her name on things. Like,
well, that's the other thing. Like, her handwriting's great. And she reads, as much as a 4-year-old does. And, like, her eyesight, there was no signs.
So sitting there, I was also like, oh, wow, you actually can't see that. It's like, poor gal.
So I kind of went through this phase of, first of all, denial. Like, this doctor doesn't know what they're on about. We need a second opinion. And I was almost like angry.
You were.
Yeah, and almost like upset that this person had labelled my child as blind.
They're not blind. You can't say that because kids are blind, but it's not having very good eyesight.
Fair enough. Okay. That she had this really bad eyesight. Poor eyesight. And but then of course you were like, well, I was in there and she really couldn't see the images on the screen. And so then I think I went into this, I don't know what you would call it, like protection mode. And once I had accepted that she was not able to see very well, I actually felt a lot of guilt, to be honest, because I've known since about 2015 or something, so about 10 years, that I have an astigmatism in my right eye. My left eye's, well, I don't really know.
Okay.
My left eye's okay.
Yeah.
My left eye's pretty good. Like if I go like this, I can see things, but do it the other way, it's pretty blurry. So I've always known that my right eye's pretty dodgy. And my left eye has overcompensated for it. And that's fine. I get by and I can drive fine, don't crash into things, and life's pretty good. So I think immediately I thought to myself, if she's got this really bad eyesight, she must have got it from me. And Maya wears glasses, Dad wears glasses, people in my whānau wear glasses.
Your auntie sent me a message to say that her girls are the same.
Yeah.
On your dad's side.
And so I think that I was probably feeling a little bit of guilt. And again, to put it into context, she's not dying.
No.
But I just felt like wearing glasses for the rest of your life, I think was the word that you used, just felt like this burden that we were giving our young 4-year-old girl. And she hadn't done anything wrong. It's not even like there was an accident. It's not like she tripped and hit her head or hit her eye on the corner of a table and now she has to wear glasses. And I just felt like it was really unfair on her. So I took that pretty hard. And then after I'd come to terms with the fact and kind of gone through this feeling guilty because I felt like it was my fault, I then went to, okay, what can I do about it? Problem solving mode. I looked into corrective eye surgery. I think it's called LASIK or something.
Laser, yeah.
Is it laser?
Laser eye surgery.
LASIK. I think it's LASIK.
I think that's the brand.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
That's good marketing.
Maybe.
Anyway, eye surgery, corrective eye surgery.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, sweet, we're going to do this. Even if you jump on a plane, go to Turkey and get it done, like we're going to get this done. Let's do it tomorrow. We'll find the money. We'll just make it happen. And then I realized that no one in their right mind would actually perform corrective eye surgery of any type on a child. You have to wait until they stop growing.
And their eyes are still changing.
Yeah, for that reason.
Yeah.
And so then I thought to myself, okay, we've gone from she has to wear glasses for her whole life to she only has to wear glasses until such time as we can get her eyes fixed using eye surgery. Fixed might be the wrong word. I don't mean that disrespectfully to anyone who has.
I think it is getting them fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she has a rugby ball shaped eye and that's not.
And she's really long-sighted. She's got both going on in both eyes. She's got the whole shebang.
The whole shebang. Doesn't do things in halves, does our kōrero?
No, that's so true.
So then once I realised and came to terms with she can't get eye surgery yet, I thought to myself, what can I do today to try and outsource some of this, whatever I'm feeling, guilty, just feeling really bad for our girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I can make sure that I can put things in place now to ensure that when she does
turn
18 or become an adult or whatever the age is where you can get eye surgery, that we've done everything we can to ensure that it's just as seamless as possible. And so I started researching health care providers or health insurance. And you know how much I hate forms and how much I hate talking to people about that sort of stuff. But I spent in fact, I sat on this chair, I think, and I spent a good hour and a half calling health insurers. And within 24 hours, we had decided that we were going to go with this particular one. Put out all the forms, got it all done, and so now we have health insurance with Southern Cross. And I made sure that all the questions that I was asking, because I was asking with this eye surgery later on down the track in mind, to make sure that nothing that had already happened to date was going to disqualify her from being able to do that later on down the track, and it doesn't. So that's great. And let the record show that I asked those questions. So yeah, and then I guess the last sort of part of that cycle was me thinking to myself, what can I do to try and support her? And knowing that I had an astigmatism, I've had glasses in the past. I think I've had 2 or 3 pairs. Conveniently, just kind of lose them because I hate wearing them. They're a pain
They gave
in
you
the ass.
headaches, when you first started wearing them?
Yeah, they gave me headaches. Yeah, and I hate them. They're uncomfortable.
Which is probably where your guilt came from, because you hadn't experienced glasses in a positive way. Whereas like Maya said to you, oh my gosh, how do you even live without your glasses? Like, I need mine on all the time. And so for her, that wearing glasses is quite a positive experience because it makes her life so much better. Yeah. Whereas I think for you hadn't had that positive experience with yours. And so that's probably where some of that guilt came from. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. And so I thought to myself, well, the least I can do, feeling responsible for this, what's happening, the least I can do is go and get some more glasses and kind of go along that journey with her. So I've got glasses. Next time I'm on this podcast, you'll probably see me with glasses. No doubt she will tell you to wear them all the time. Well, she's been pretty good so far. So she got them on what, Monday or Tuesday? Thursday. Thursday. Has it only been that long? Yeah. A few days. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she got them on Thursday and has been really good at wearing them. So great. Every now and then she'll say she wants a break, but it lasts about 3 minutes and then... And everyone's been super positive and making a big deal about it and telling you how beautiful she looks. And yeah, but it's been pretty difficult. And like you say, it's not like she's sick, but I think it gives you more aroha for those whānau who are dealing with things like sick kids, because you deal with the emotions you feel as a parent when your kid has to do something that's a little bit hard. It just puts you in like full protective mode. Well, what it's really highlighted for me is how hardwired I am to want to protect you, protect our whānau, protect people around me, and that's probably where my drive to just work comes from, because in this particular case, the best form of protection I can give her today is to pay for health insurance. Well, it's not cheap. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month. And so in order to do that, you need to find that money, which means I have to work hard. And that's how I cope. It's probably not a healthy way to cope with it. Yeah, so that's probably just what I've learned about myself in the last couple of weeks and how I cope with those kinds of things. And like I said, she's not dying. She's not sick. Yeah. Wearing glasses is normal. Yeah. And when you look around, so many people wear glasses. And I'm about to wear glasses. You are. Yeah. That's right. It is a very normal thing. You're right. It's normal. I'm not trying to exaggerate and make a drama out of something so small. I'm just telling you, I'm just sharing with you how that was the journey that you went on as a parent. And I think it's interesting because we all deal with these things differently. Whereas the way that I dealt with it was like, I'm going to make this the best possible experience for her that it can possibly be. And so I researched where to go, what to do. Turns out you should shop around when you're buying glasses. Yeah. Quite interesting. For me, it's like I gather all the information and I put it on myself to get all the information I could possibly get for her to make the actual buying the glasses, putting them on, the best possible experience, which in itself is totally a whole mental load. But that's just your way of protecting her. That's right. That was my way of protecting her. It's to make the whole experience seamless and great and not a drama. And as easy as possible for us. And as easy as possible. Yeah. And I remember you took her out to go shopping for glasses and try to make it as fun as possible. Fun. Yeah. Yeah. But that was your way of protecting her. It's interesting how parental instincts kind of kick in. Yeah. Regardless of the situation. Yes. You shared with me earlier on in the week, talking about protection, an interesting reel or short or something around, I can't remember who it was, but he was talking about how we should be protecting our tamariki
using things like technology, social media, and on the back of the conversation that I had recently with Carl around how our generation, maybe even the generation before us, how we've overprotected our tamariki in real life, but probably underprotected them online. What have you...
When listening to Carl talk about that line of overprotecting in real life, underprotecting online, it just kind of struck a chord with me and really made me think, because, you know, you and I have talked about how as kids we used to play out in the street till it got dark. We used to go out and knock on our friends' doors and be like, do you want to play? You know, I remember my brother as a 10-year-old going out in the bush with his friends till it got dark and like building tree huts, and no one had a phone, you know, and we just wouldn't do that. We wouldn't let our kids do that these days. We wouldn't let them walk down to the shops.
Why though? I don't think I'd have a problem with it.
No, we do. I mean, we do let them do those things, but, you know, even the kids getting the bus to school, I'm like, oh, should I give them a phone so they can contact me if they get dropped off in the wrong place? You know, it's like, actually they're perfectly capable of working out how to get home, but we do protect them out in that real world so much now. I think we definitely don't let kids do things that we would have once let them do. Whereas we're putting technology in their hands and they're literally like looking at the entire world. Like they can get anything on their iPads, on their phones, social media, and yet we don't let them walk to the shops.
So so you and I have, I mean, I wonder if it's something to do with our brains. It's almost like we know that social media, the internet, that it's an amazing piece of technology, but also that there's inherent danger in using it if you don't know how to use it correctly, or if you're not mature enough to recognize that that's fake, or I shouldn't go there and explore, just stay away. So it's almost like we underestimate the risk involved in something online and totally overestimate the real life risk of something in real life, like walking to the shops. Yeah. Like, when was the last time that somebody got kidnapped walking to the shops? Like, it doesn't happen. Nah. It really doesn't.
But kids are seeing stuff on the internet every single day.
Every day.
They shouldn't be looking at.
Yeah. And yet we put phones in the hands of our kids.
Without even thinking about it, eh?
And we go, but you shouldn't walk to the shops.
Yeah.
It's like, how did we get there? I mean, you and I have been pretty conservative when it comes to social media. And we've sat down and had conversations with our tamariki. And we talk with our tamariki about what I would consider to be quite mature topics.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, we've had conversations around pornography. We've had conversations around puberty, sex, all of those tapu topics.
When the questions come up, we talk about it.
Yeah.
But we've also talked to them about how when your friends are talking about this, don't assume everything that's being said is correct, because we have no idea where that information's coming from. So come back and ask us the questions. Like, let's talk about it as a whānau. Have those conversations.
Yeah. And I guess what I was getting at is that it's not like we're in denial. We don't protect them from that world, because in the spirit of overprotecting, I don't think we overprotect them. We bring them into our bubble and we have conversations about those topics so that they are aware of some of the things that have been spoken about around them. But at the same time, I don't see the upside of putting a phone with a social media account in the hands of my 12-year-old daughter and going, just go, have fun. We've sort of loosened the reins on some things, like YouTube.
Yeah.
But even that happens down in the lounge, where we don't look over their shoulders, but if I walk past and I see something.
Yeah.
You know.
And I've gone and made them YouTube accounts and put age restrictions on them. It's not a perfect science. I'm like fully aware of that. But nothing's a perfect science. And we've, like you said, we've loosened the reins to the point where we kind of feel comfortable. And every now and then something will be said at home and we'll go, where did you hear that from?
It's usually a bit of a sign, eh?
Yeah, to have a conversation. Be like, oh, tell me where you heard that from. Is that coming through the YouTube filter? You know?
Or is it coming from somewhere else? Yeah, with all of our tamariki. If I hear something, it could be a snarky remark, it could be an attitude shift, it could be a phrase, it could be just a piece of misinformation. Sometimes one of our tamariki will say to the other one, oh, did you know blah, 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 blah. And I'll overhear it and be like, what the? Yeah. Who told you that? Yeah. And so that's an opportunity.
Where did you hear that from?
That's an opportunity to sit down as a whānau, to have a discussion, talk about critical thinking, fact checking, asking good follow-up questions,
Yeah.
and then actually sitting with that information and thinking about, how do I feel about this? Is this true? Based on all of the other information I've got and knowledge I've got, how likely is it that this is true or false? But yeah, usually if something manages to creep into our whānau, that's usually a sign that the firewall isn't working. Something has crept in either through YouTube or through ChatGPT or the internet or just in real life conversations with their friends and peers.
And it's interesting because it is scary what the internet can feed them. And like, I've just started watching, everyone's talking about this Netflix series Adolescence. I'm only through an episode and a half, but I've heard a lot of what it's about and where it's kind of going. And the algorithm is like crazy. So like, I know at the moment that the YouTube algorithm is feeding mana NBA videos, American football videos, and like stupid Mr. Beast challenges. That's not to say other things won't creep through. That the YouTube algorithm is at the moment feeding Adia, Dance Mums, and Taylor Swift. Again, not to say that it won't get through, but how scary is it that all it takes is to watch a couple of videos about something that is totally inappropriate for a 10-year-old and 12-year-old, and the algorithm will start feeding that stuff instead. Like, it doesn't take much.
And if you take that to the extreme, I remember hearing a really interesting sort of analogy about algorithms. And so when the internet became popular, they called it the World Wide Web for a reason, because it was, people analogized it as this thing that connected us like a spider web. And that was true for a very, very long time. And then over time, we've developed this thing called an algorithm. And the way I think of, or the way that this metaphor was kind of explained to me, is that an algorithm is kind of like a cocoon. So rather than having this web that connects everybody, we live in these cocoons, and these cocoons are your algorithm. And so when you're in the middle of this cocoon, everything around you, left, right, up, down, all around you, you can't see beyond the cocoon.
It's feeding the same narrative.
So instead of having this web that connects us all, we have millions and millions of cocoons, aka algorithms, and we're stuck in one of them. And all of the information around us that's been fed to us is what this cocoon or what this algorithm wants to give us. And we actually can't see outside, so we're not even aware of other information. And this is how
extremist views get formed.
Yeah, and how you can talk to someone who holds a completely different political view to you. They're not stupid. They just don't understand because they've never been exposed to any other source of information except what that algorithm is feeding them. And they can't even see what's in your cocoon. They've never even been exposed to it. So when you're telling them, dude, you know that's not right, they think you're straight up lying. They're like, you're wrong. Every time I open my phone, every time I open my computer, everyone I talk to all says the same thing. You are wrong. And then, of course, you've got the polar opposite. You're going, well, actually, everything I've seen online is my truth. You're wrong. And that's the danger of getting trapped in an algorithm.
And we're giving kids devices and allowing that to kind of be part of their world.
Well, we're not.
Well, they've got YouTube, but you're right. So the way that you and I have so far done it is they've obviously got their iPads down in the lounge.
Yeah. And I think the cost to that is, like, I'm very aware that they will be feeling peer pressure. Both our older kids will be feeling peer pressure because I know that their friends have got social media accounts. Snapchat. I know that they bring phones to school. I had Snapchat when it was first kind of popularized. I know what goes on Snapchat. My daughter will not be using Snapchat.
Yeah.
Neither will my son. Like, I'm sorry. I'm happy to be the uncool dad.
I know.
And I also know that there is a real risk that they will go behind my back.
Yes.
But again, those are conversations that we've had.
And those are things that all kids will do, probably. You know, they'll push the boundaries at some point.
I don't think Adia will. I think Mana will. I think Kōrero definitely will. I don't think Adia will. That's my gut feeling. But again, it's just about having those conversations and being really open and honest and understanding. I'm not trying to be an arsehole. Like, I'm not trying to ruin your life. I'm actually trying to do everything I can, and I won't get it right all the time. But I'm doing everything I can to try and protect you because I've seen some shit.
And what we have done, you know, just talking about protecting in the real world. So we have a family phone that just sits in the cupboard, and if the kids are going out and doing something that is, we feel like they might need to get in touch with us, or we feel a little bit uneasy about where they're going, we'll give them the family phone.
It's actually that phone.
Yeah, the one that's recording. That all they can do is just message us, call us.
But the word family phone or whānau phone,
it doesn't belong to them.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to them,
That's
which
right.
means that
it goes back in the cupboard, and it's.
But it also changes the whole way that that phone is used, because if Adia takes it to, like she had rehearsal yesterday, she took the phone. But she knows that any photos that she takes, the whole whānau can see those. So think about it. Any messages you send, I can jump in and have a look because it doesn't belong to you. I'm not invading your privacy.
I'm just going to take that phone somewhere to a friend's house and then look at them and be like, Adia, what is this about?
So it changes the whole behavior. Because you're not going to send an inappropriate message, or you're less likely to send an inappropriate message, because you know that Papa can jump in there anytime and have a look, because it doesn't belong to you. It actually belongs to us. But the whānau.
And I do believe, I mean, it's tricky, because it's like the more kids that have phones, the harder it is to not have a phone, because you're missing out on those conversations with friends. And so it's like, are we stopping them from being able to be social in real life because they don't have the phones? Or, it's such a tricky line to balance. It's like you want them to be able to have those moments in real life. But then we were talking to someone the other day and they said that their kids have got phones and they get together in real life and they all just sit on their phones anyway. So it's like, well, maybe those things in real life are happening, but they're not happening in a really positive social way because they're all sitting on their phones.
Which kind of goes back to, again, the conversations that I had with Carl a few weeks ago around social connectedness and how it's just lacking big time. And the long-term effect of that, in many cases, is just loneliness, because people just don't know how to talk anymore. Anyway.
It all comes, it's all, like you said, the theme for us has kind of been about protection, and how that looks.
Well, I've just been thinking about it
in different
lately.
ways.
I do see my role as a protector, among other things. But what does that mean? What does it look like? And we've talked a little bit about it today. But you don't want to overprotect, because if you overprotect, and I've seen it happen in a few different kind of instances where, the ultimate helicopter parent who wraps their child in cotton wool builds absolutely zero resilience.
No resilience, out in the real world.
You do actually have to harden your kids. And I had a really, really cool conversation with a woman, a wahine, beautiful wahine, earlier this week, whose child, he's not really a child anymore, he's a grown man, plays in the NRL, and really grateful that she sat down. She might come on the podcast, actually. Sat down and had a conversation with me. And one of the things that she said to me, she goes, it's going to sound real fucked up, Anton, but you're going to have to harden mana. And I remember calling you, and coming home after that conversation, having a chat with you, and just thinking, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to harden mana, but this is what's going to be required, because this NRL dream that he's chasing, that he wants to put everything behind, and I want to support him as much as I can, is going to require him to be isolated. The chances are he's probably not going to play in Ōtautahi. He's probably going to play either in Auckland or more likely in Australia. And so he is going to have to be on his own. He is going to have to be resilient and hard. And so how do you find that balance?
How do you build that resilience in him? That
hard outer shell. Same thing with our girls, because the world is not set up to look after them, not at the moment. So how do you keep the conversations age appropriate? But also, how do you build in resilience and just optimism, but also a reality check every now and then?
And let them fail. You got to let your kids fail, and it's so hard to sit back and watch them fail at something and not, storm in as the parent and be like, hey, why is this happening? And like, like we did with the glasses, try and make it better for them. But there are so many things in life that they will go through, and they just have to fail, and they'll do things that they don't like. There's some things coming up that I know Adia's like really not looking forward to, and it sucks, but I will make her do them, because that is how she'll build that resilience. But it's just like, it goes against your instinct around protecting them, keeping them happy. But I think alongside all those things, it's really good to feel uncomfortable, and we have to feel uncomfortable in this world in order to be able to build resilience, think critically, get ourselves out of situations. And it has become easier and easier to protect our kids in that way and stop them from feeling uncomfortable.
One of the things that's probably worth noting, and we've both been really big on this, again, at different stages of our Tamariki's lives. Haven't had a conversation with kōrero about it yet, she's too young, but just around privilege. So you talked about not wanting to jump in and protect your tamariki, let them fail, and how your instinct is to work hard so that you don't put your tamariki in that situation. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm proud that we work really, really hard so that we can provide opportunities for our tamariki that we want to provide for them. But I think it has to go hand in hand with a conversation with them about how lucky they are to have these opportunities afforded to them. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look after your tamariki, give them opportunities, do things for them so that they can get the most out of life, but also understanding for them that they're really, really lucky that this is happening and that not everyone has the same opportunities as they do. So not to take them for granted, and certainly don't use your opportunities or your privileges as like a weapon against someone else who doesn't have that.
Use them to bring everyone with you.
Yeah, I mean, even like the school lunch thing that we've talked about lately. Everyone understands Mr. Seymour's disastrous attempt to build a school lunch program on the back of something that wasn't broken. Yeah. And how miserably he's failed. Shout out David Seymour, you douchebag. But as a result, our tamariki who are attending a kura where the school lunch program is provided and how crap those meals are, we send them now with a lunchbox full of good kai. Some of the tamariki that some of their peers maybe don't get the same type of privilege as our tamariki do. So therefore at 2:30 in the afternoon, when everyone's getting a little bit restless and that tamaiti over there is acting out and being a little bit of an egg, and our tamariki are sitting there thinking, why do you have to be a clown? Like, why are you doing that? It's about stopping and pausing and going, well, maybe he is or she has just been an egg because that's just how they are. Or maybe it's because they had to eat that lunch today.
Or didn't get any lunch because it was so bad.
Well, they got the school lunch, but it was bad. Like maybe they just got the old frozen scroll that people have been getting. Or they had no breakfast, or, you know, they didn't have a very nutritious dinner last night. Whereas our tamariki have got these bento boxes with carrots and fruit and sandwiches and yogurt and frozen berries. And so how lucky are they? Now, they shouldn't feel bad about that. We work really, really hard to be able to put protein plus yogurt and frozen raspberries in their lunchbox. But understanding that's a privilege and you shouldn't feel guilty for it, but you also can't be blind to how lucky you are. So there's that conversation around protection as well. Probably the last angle around protection is our lives and how we've structured our lives very deliberately. And we've said it on the podcast before that our roles happen to be, I go to work and I do whatever I need to put food on the table. Your primary role is to look after our tamariki and make sure that they get everything that they need, that they get to all the places they need to go to, that they've got all of the clothes they need for all of the different various kaupapa that they have to attend. And my job is to not worry about any of that and to worry about mahi.
And sometimes that's meeting emotional needs at the end of the day, those things as well.
All of it. Yeah. All of it. And then you and me, it's almost like we've got two worlds. There's this home life, our tamariki, and we want to make that safe, not chaotic, as easy as possible, building in those things that we've talked about, resilience and so on. Whereas at the moment, the season that we're in with our business is I'm putting so much pressure on our business to grow, to fix the problems, to be more profitable, lots and lots of pressure. And as a result, it can get pretty chaotic and pretty hectic and very stressful.
Yeah, and not easy to plan. You know, like it can be random. One day is not the same as the next.
It's very stressful. Like we are pedal to the metal right now, pushing as hard as we can. And so you've got those two things working simultaneously, and then there's you and me in the middle. And I'm facing the chaos and trying to absorb as much as I can to protect you and the tamariki, which means I come home and I'm tired, I'm pissed off, I'm angry. Like I've been angry lately, like really, really fucking angry at lots of things. And I try really hard not to bring that home. And I try to leave as much of it at work. Whereas you, on the other hand, you have to face the other way. Knowing that all of that is going on behind you, we're like back to back. You're facing the tamariki in the home kainga life, trying to do the best that you can here. And so it's like our relationship acts as like a protection, a layer of protection between those two worlds so that they don't clash. And every now and then, every now and then I let one pass the goal. Like I allow myself to bring home a problem, and it creeps into the home. And we talk about it as a whānau, but I'm trying really, really hard not to. But yeah, that the way that we've even structured our relationship and our lives to try and protect our tamariki from the realities of trying to run and grow our business, even that, the idea of protection is even factored into that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, eh? And it feels weird using the word entrepreneur, but that's essentially what you are, as an entrepreneur. Hey.
Well, it's just a word.
It's just a word, but that is the word that the world, and I think being an entrepreneur, like you said, it's a chaotic life. It's not predictable. You're constantly chasing something all the time.
We don't have to.
No, you don't.
There are
have
a lot
to.
of, like, I mean, we could just consolidate and like live happily ever after. Well,
absolutely.
Live comfortably.
Yeah, look, we could have had Joe's Wigram stopped, finished, and just run that business for the next 15 years quite happily, plodding along doing our thing. But that for you would not have been fulfilling. That's right. So I honestly think, like, although we had this conscious decision, especially when the kids were little, for me to be a stay-at-home mum, I think, and I've never really been able to put it eloquently into words, but I think in order to be an entrepreneur and grow a family, you almost need that person beside you, whether it's your wife or, I don't know, for some families it might be grandparents. But if I was to go and work in a high-pressure job right now, the wheels would start falling off. Hey, if I was to be like,
at home, they would.
Even if I was just to work a 40-hour week in the business, the wheels at home would fall off slowly but surely, because it as a whole, I find, this is what I tell myself, it feels like a different kettle of fish to just being a stay-at-home mum to someone who maybe goes to work 9 to 5, has weekends off, 4 weeks holiday a year. That in itself is a difficult job. Being a stay-at-home mum is totally undervalued. However, I think in order to live this life of an entrepreneur, and I said to you the other day, there was someone that you were watching online, and both him and his wife, really, really successful. They're both out there in the media doing their thing. And I said, do they have kids? And you were like, no, I don't think they do.
It was Alex and Layla Hormozy.
Yeah. And I was like, that's really interesting, because you see them as this power couple and they're both out there doing incredible things. And then you kind of go, I wonder what would change for them if they were to do that job and have kids, you know. And then there's other people that I've seen that we look up to as entrepreneurs. I've been guilty of kind of looking at them back in the day, 15 years ago, going, I wonder if that must be a pretty nice life, just being like the wife of an entrepreneur, going out, socializing, doing a thing. And I totally underestimated actually being the wife of an entrepreneur as a whole full-time job in itself in a whole different way, in order for things to stay the way that you and I would like to have them.
Yeah, I think you're right, because one of the realities so far in the last 10 years, and I can't imagine it will change too much in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, is that I work every day.
Yeah.
Some days it's 5 hours. Some days it's only 3 hours.
Yeah.
Most days it's 12 to 14, 16 if it's really, really bad hours.
Yeah.
And there's been a few of those hours, a few of those days lately. But what that means is that people talk about the typical 9 to 5. I guess for a lot of people, the way that they've set up their lives is that the typical dad goes to work, works 9 to 5, let's say Monday to Friday. Mum drops the kids at school, works around the home, and then at 5 o'clock when dad gets home, I guess the expectation is that mum and dad have both finished their jobs.
Individual jobs, yeah.
And now they've got to teamwork it.
Yeah.
So it's like, who's going to do dinner tonight? Who's going to look after the kids? Who's going to get them to sports practice and so on? So that is, I guess, what a typical, stereotypical relationship might look like. And then I guess the pressure comes on when dad wants to go and play sport, or mum wants to go and hang out with her girlfriends. And it's like, well, hold on. Like, where's the balance there?
Yeah.
The fundamental difference for us is that there is no 9 till 5. Like, I'm working from the moment I wake up, and maybe I'm making school lunches or I'm tidying the house or whatever, but I'm also checking emails, replying to messages, Like it's constant.
Mm-hmm.
And then even at 5 p.m., even if I leave the office and I drive home, I'm taking phone calls. I'm calling someone and interviewing them on the phone. I'm, whatever. It could look like lots of different things. It just doesn't stop. And so what that means is that even when I'm at home, you still have to be on, because I could walk out the door any moment to go and try and put out a fire at mahi. And that is 7 days a week. So to your point around, in order for me to build the whānau life that I want, I don't want life to be...
We want.
Yeah, want. I don't... Well, but, I'm just speaking on behalf of me. I don't want my tamariki to be exposed to the level of chaos and pressure and just fires that I have to constantly put out every day. It's not... A little bit of that is fine. That's the resilient piece, and it's the reality check piece.
Yeah,
like none of this shit just...
And they have had to do that at times.
Well, our kids work in the whashwaka. Our kids have spent many... I mean, they're out here right now. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in the room next door while we do mahi. That is the reality.
Yeah.
But, in order for me to be able to do what I need to do, I need you to step up and do all of the stuff that you do. And if you were trying to do what I was doing and we were building this side by side in the business, then who does the home stuff? And
maybe
some people...
for some whānau, that's bringing in people to do that stuff. Yeah. And all power to them. That's
100%.
What they have chosen to do. In our situation, we've chosen that I will be that person. For other whānau who are on a similar entrepreneurial, building a, legacy type journey like what we are trying to do, it's bringing people in to their home, whether it's nannies, whatever it needs to be, in order to do that. It just so happens that for you and I, we've chosen this particular path in order to, going back to that protection theme, in order to protect our little family, our home life.
And that's predominantly because you don't want to do what I want to do.
That's right.
And I also don't want to do what you... If you and I both wanted to do the mahi piece, well, you can't just ignore the home stuff. Like you have to bring support in, whether it's a nanny or...
And I enjoy doing that stuff. If you said to me, hey babe, we'll just hire a nanny and they can do all the after school activities, I'd be like...
And you can come and work with me 100 hours a week. You'd be like, no thanks.
No thanks. I'd like to...
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I'd like to have those. I enjoy those conversations in the car. I like going out and doing that. That is what I want to do.
And likewise, if you said to me, hey, why don't we bring in a CEO and get them to run the business so that you can be at home some more?
Yeah.
And, you can just come and hang out with the kids more. I'd be like, no. I don't want to do that. It doesn't get my wheels churning. So, I think it just so happens that this is how we're hardwired.
That's how we've chosen to protect our little family life.
It's not right or wrong, but it seems to be working. But like I said, just bringing it back to that protection piece, because that's kind of been the theme of today's kōrero. Even the way that we've structured our lives and our relationship, probably without even realizing it, but trying to put that layer of protection in our relationship, which takes a beating sometimes depending on what season we're in, is that layer of protection between the tamariki and building this business. So, okay, cool. Any final whakaaro thoughts before we wrap this up?
Nah.
Been a good kōrero. I've enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm interested to know if there's people listening around how they manage their kids and phones and social media. And, I am sure. I mean, the thing with parenting is we're all just trying to do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have at the time, right?
Yeah.
And so, maybe we'll look back on this time and be like, oh, that wasn't the right thing to do. But we're all just trying to do the best with what we've got,
And just acknowledging that people have got different demands and pressures on them. I mean, it's Sunday morning, we're recording a podcast episode and we've used, presumably, YouTube to babysit our kids, and you just got to do what you got to do.
And that's the level of comfort that we have. That's where we feel comfortable. For other families, it'll be even less than that. It'll be no screens. And then, but I'm interested to know how in social circles, particularly with kids older than ours, slightly older, how managing that whole, everyone else having phones and your kids not. And I've seen a lot of kind of encouragement on the internet lately, and it's like, if we all choose to not have phones for our kids, then our kids don't need them. They won't want them. And so, but that's not reality.
Yeah, you're really pushing shit uphill there.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just working out.
It's a nice thought. But
it is, but
as if,
yeah,
that person needs a dose of reality. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
What else? What other lies are you telling yourself? Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. How nice would that be? But it doesn't. We live in 2025, so.
Tika. All right, babe.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate the kōrero. It's always good to sit down and
Okay.
have these conversations. Hopefully other people enjoy them as well.
Yeah.
If they don't, kei te pai, I enjoy it.
Cool.
So I appreciate you. Oh, well, until next time, everyone, thank you very much for joining in to another episode of Beyond the Hustle. Thank you to Jess, my beautiful wifey, and to our Tamariki who are somewhere out there watching their tablets. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa, and we'll see you on the next episode of Beyond the Hustle. Ngā mihi.